There's been a Reddit post circulating on Twitter recently that describes a conversation between a man and a woman in a long-term relationship. The gist of it is that the woman, in a ham-feasted attempt to compliment her boyfriend, said that he is not someone she would want to hook up with or have a friends with benefits relationship with, but instead was someone she would want to marry. She did not say that this had anything to do with the casual sex type of person being more attractive than her boyfriend, but it seems that her boyfriend interpreted it that way. Because of the different experiences that men and women have in the dating marketplace, reactions to this post have been fairly divided, and dialogue between them has been difficult and strained. I hope to clarify a lot of what is going on in this video. Most men struggle to engage in hookups and casual sex very much, if at all. A 2020 study in the Journal of the American Medical Association reported a significant increase in sexlessness among young men, without a corresponding increase in sexlessness among young women. A 2012 study on sexual regrets showed a large disparity between the amount of casual sex men were having and the amount they wanted to be having. There are also results in the General Social Survey indicating men on average express a desire for more sexual partners than they typically have. Women are also interested in casual sex, but on average they want less casual sex less often and with fewer partners than men do. This group imbalance, which has consequences throughout the heterosexual marketplace, can be termed the gender disparity in aggregate sociosexuality. Due to the gender disparity in aggregate sociosexuality, the heterosexual casual sex marketplace is highly imbalanced in favor of women. Because men want to have more casual sex with more partners more often, a casual sex marketplace with 100 women and 100 men will function more like a marketplace with 100 women and 500 men. And men will have to compete harder for rare opportunities to engage in casual sex. Insofar as there is a hierarchy of sexual attractiveness, women will have the capacity to date up the hierarchy, and men will be forced to date down the hierarchy compared to the long-term relationship marketplace. But there is another factor, since the casual sex marketplace involves repeated transactions in a way the long-term relationship marketplace doesn't. Being fairly appealing to many people becomes more important than being extremely appealing to a few people. This brings us to a discussion of Hotelling's law and the differences between the casual sex and marriage marketplaces. In the marriage marketplace, being very particular and having unique traits is rewarded by the small group of people who are looking for someone like you, and these idiosyncrasies can actually create stronger bonds between partners. But in the casual sex marketplace, broad marketability is important. Imagine you are throwing a pizza party for 12 people. Among these people, 4 of them really love pepperoni pizza, 3 really love pizza with olives, 3 prefer mushrooms, and 2 like pineapple. Choosing a pizza with any of these toppings would make a minority of the attendees very pleased, but the remaining people might not eat much pizza at all, but they all sort of like plain cheese pizza. So if you're trying to choose what pizza to get in order to feed everyone, cheese is probably your best choice. In fact, even though no one at the party would personally eat more slices of cheese pizza than if the pizza had their chosen toppings on it, the whole party as a group will eat more slices of pizza if you order a plain cheese pizza instead of one of the topping choices. This is called Hotelling's law, an observation of economist Harold Hotelling in 1929, and is related to the median voter theorem, an idea in social choice theory proposed by economist Duncan Black, although the latter concept is rarely applied to markets. Although Hotelling's theory is less formalized than Black's, the general insight is that given resource constraints, firms cannot fill every market niche and meet every consumer's desire perfectly. And so, in order to maximize profits, firms will converge on product offerings that satisfy the median consumer's preferences, even if each individual consumer would prefer a more specialized product. In the pizza example, the resource constraints are that pizzas are only sold by the pie, and so only 1 or 2 pies will be purchased for the pizza party. And so some or all of the people will have to compromise on their ideal pizza toppings so that everyone gets at least pizza that they deem pretty good. The casual sex marketplace is subject to Hotelling's law as well. Even if a woman has a specific type of man that she prefers, she will be more likely to accept a man who is conventionally attractive instead of a man who is neither conventionally attractive nor her type. But this individual woman might still prefer to hook up with the unconventionally attractive man who is more her type than the conventionally attractive man. So how is this creating an overall market convergence towards conventionally attractive men? Well, this is because the marketplace is an amalgamation of all the participants' preferences. If there are 10 men and man number 7 is no one's first choice, but everyone's second choice. In a casual sexual marketplace, man number 7 is going to have a lot more sexual partners than any of the other men, just like with the pizza example. Plain cheese pizza may not be anyone's favorite, but if you bring a cheese pizza to the party, everyone's going to want a slice. There are many people who are more stubborn about their ideal type, of course, but even within those types, there are going to be subtypes that are more widely palatable than others, just as you could set up a pizza place next to a taco truck, next to a sandwich shop, and all 3 businesses would benefit by prioritizing the types of pizza, tacos, and sandwiches that are widely palatable by the overall consumer population. So why is the discourse around this Reddit post upsetting and confusing to men and women? For women, it is possible that finding casual sexual partners is so easy for them that they've never really had to reflect on the contours of the sexual marketplace, or consider that men on average have a very different experience of it than they do. This probably also contributes to a cheapening of sexual access in their eyes. They might view willingness to hook up as not very meaningful because so many men have been willing to hook up with them, not realizing that a lot of men have a hard time finding willing casual sex partners. And so the idea that someone cares so deeply about how hookupable they are doesn't make sense. They may also have never figured out that in the casual sexual marketplace, they generally have access to more conventionally attractive partners than they would in the marriage marketplace. And so their eventual long-term partners, aware of this fact, might feel deficient or insecure in various ways. It is also important to recognize that women do feel genuine, strong attraction to their long-term partners, and so they often truly mean it when they say he is more attractive than hookup guys, although they might not be able to easily distinguish their subjective attraction to their partner from his overall level of conventional attractiveness. Men's issues about it stem first from insecurity about their own sexual desirability. Because of their experience with the casual sexual marketplace, a lot of men perceive their girlfriend's preferences like this Venn diagram. They realize that there's a very small number of men she would entertain casual sex with, and a relatively larger number of men who she would be open to dating or marrying, and some overlap. But given the relative sizes of each circle, they are very concerned about being included in the marriage circle but excluded from the hookup circle, and they have no way of knowing where they stand since there is no computer simulation they can run to see if their girlfriend would have hooked up with them without the promise of long-term commitment. Given how hard the man found it to have casual sex at all, he might understandably assume that his girlfriend wouldn't have hooked up with him under other circumstances. These insecurities play into various psychological tropes, which are better explored elsewhere, such as the dual mating strategy proposed by evolutionary psychologists and the beta bucks concept rattling around various dating forums. There is actually another video on this channel on why feeling like a beta bucks can hurt so much. In many ways, it functions like a time-flipped version of divorce, with all the associated betrayal that comes with that. But another reason why it upsets men is it triggers jealousy of the hookup men. Even if being the type of guy who got to hook up with their girlfriend is not that special in her eyes, the type of guy who gets hookups is the type of guy who gets to have sex with many women. And as we've established already, men on average have less sex with fewer people than they would like to. There is a deeper, more troubling conclusion to all this. Men are having less sex with fewer people than they'd like. And the pockets of casual sex that are happening probably reinforce a feeling of fear of missing out among the men who don't have access to it. An increase in the supply of sex would do a lot to alleviate this, but that would require men and women both shifting towards a freer sexual culture. Such a shift would challenge social norms around sex and might also make women, who are on average less promiscuous, more unhappy. But it's important to notice something about this. The ways in which women already experience negative emotions due to the current level of cultural sexual openness is widely discussed, considered an important issue, and even labeled as a crisis. The ways in which men experience negative emotions due to the current lack of greater sexual openness isn't discussed or worried about at all. Thanks for watching, and if you are interested in more content exploring the economics of dating, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.